Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Sherry Horner, your host at healthfitnessbroadcast.com. Today, we are talking about healthy eating for women over 50. And our guest today is nutrition and fitness consultant and expert, Christi Taylor from Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome back to the show, Christi.
Thank you.
It's been 2005, 2006. It's been quite a long time since we were able to talk. Back then we talked a lot about fitness. Christi's been in the fitness industry for many, many years, and her focus now is fitness and nutrition. But she has been a fitness expert and presenter, a teacher to the teachers for many, many years. And thank you for giving us all this great information, because women over 50 well, you can talk more about it. Some people get the attitude, well, this is going to happen. And that's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do to prevent the aging and certain things that happen when you get over that age of 50. So let's start with nutrition. We talked before, and you talked about 5 tools to be healthier over 50. So can we start there?
Sure. Well, first of all, I would like to say I'm over 50.
And you don't look
several years over 50. So I too went through, those stages of what, is it a death sentence, 50 or beyond, but what'll happen with menopause, and will I gain weight because everybody else says they do, and so on. So there are several things that I think are really important, because it's not a death sentence. You don't have to gain weight. You don't have to go through those issues that are typical. I think there's several things really important. Of course, nutrition, fitness, what you choose to fuel your body,
right,
and how much you choose to fuel. I think it's about what you choose to fuel, how much you choose to fuel it, and as well as when you fuel it. And when I say fuel it, I mean consume calories, eat. What you choose to eat, how much you choose to eat, and then when you eat it. Late night eating, for example, is a big culprit for causing health issues and weight issues really at any age, especially 50 and above, when our bodies are far more sensitive from the hormone fluctuations and such. So I think it's really important that we choose really good foods. I like to think of it as getting the most bang for my buck. I chose that a few years ago, and I love it. I love the idea, because if I only had $100 to go shopping for clothing, I want to get the most I can get for my $100, and I think of my calories the same way. If a typical person can consume 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day, I want to get as much nutrition in those 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day as I possibly can. It's kind of the same as getting the most bang for your buck with your money. I look at it that way. So making sure that you're getting as much whole food as possible. Whole food would be a food item that, if it had a label on the back, it would have just one ingredient. That's a whole food. It comes in its whole natural source. And I would push more towards those. Not try to be perfect, but lean heavier on that side. Just always lean heavier on the healthier side. And then, of course, how much you choose to eat is really important as well, because you can eat a lot of really great food, but if you eat too much, you're still doing damage to your body. You're causing a lot of damage that, especially over 50, is more noticeable. And you won't burn any fat. If you want to lose weight, you won't lose it, because you're consuming so much energy through your mouth that your body won't go and burn what's stored already on your body. So even if it's good food, you're still going to have an issue there. And then finally, when you eat, I think it's really important that that we don't eat at night, because your digestive tract needs to rest as well. And that's when we detox, is overnight. So if you're burning, your digestive tract is being required to work all night long, you're not going to sleep as well. You're not going to burn fuel much, because you don't need to. Most of the food we eat at night gets stored as fat, because you don't need it for energy. It's not like you're running a race. You're going to bed.
Right.
So I would say that in terms of nutrition. Yeah. And there's other areas like rest.
Yeah.
Rest is very important.
Well,
eating properly will help that area.
Let's talk about the eating at night, because for those some of those women that work, especially I want to use nurses as an example. Um, Sometimes they work 12-hour days, and their schedules change, and the only time they're able to eat is at late at night. Or I mean, not just nurses, but there's many other professions where their only time to really have that meal is at night. What would you suggest for them, to foods to avoid? And you mentioned, sticking to like portion control. But
Right.
what would be some good healthy foods for them to consume if they have to have their meal late at night?
Well, the healthy food uh, options are still the same no matter when you eat.
Right.
Whether you're eating them I mean, the food isn't going to change depending on when you eat it. Your body changes based on when. And let me also say that for somebody like a nurse who's working a lot of hours, I mean, when I say in the evening, everybody kind of knows what I mean is, within a
Right.
couple hours before you go to bed.
Right.
But a nurse's quote unquote evening may not necessarily be like somebody else's. She may not even go to bed till 3 in the morning. So eating at midnight probably is, if she regularly does that, it's probably not, eating at midnight would probably be her cutoff time. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that um, when I say eating in the evening, I'm really saying not eating within 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed.
Okay. Okay.
So, and then as far as the food choices, it's really the same. Now, the thing is that if they're in a place where there are not good food choices, that's just a matter of changing, making some disciplined changes in your behavior on how you prepare for food. I can't say, well, the best thing to eat is the, item number C in a machine,
Right.
like a
Yeah.
vending machine. You can't really go there. The foods that are important to consume are important to consume any time of day. But if you've got a schedule that doesn't make it easy, you really do need to think ahead. For example, I'm really busy all day long during the week, and I eat mostly home cooked food, but I don't always have a lot of time to do that. So I make sure that I cook up stuff during the weekend when I do have time, freeze it, prepare it, the things that I like, and make sure that do have those available at the time that I need them and I don't have the time. So whatever your profession is, whatever your schedule is, whatever your shift is, it just takes a little time and planning. It won't happen naturally. It has to be planned. It has to be very deliberate in the
Planning
plan.
ahead. Planning ahead is important. And I'm speaking to the women over 50, how we've always planned ahead for our children. We always planned their meals ahead, their lunches. We always made sure they had what they needed.
Yeah.
And then we kind of put ourselves last. I mean, do you hear that a lot from women our age? And so now it's time, you're over 50, it's time to make sure that you're planning your lunches and your meals if you need to pack several meals, if you have a long shift at work. So
Yeah.
planning for yourself now instead of
Yeah, it
okay.
is. And then once you do it, you just have to exercise the discipline to eat what you take.
Hmm.
I know a lot of women who have a difficult time with that. But what I would say to encourage someone in that area, as far as discipline, is just to let them know that the first time you take your lunch and you have a healthy meal, maybe in your bag, but everybody else is getting pizza or you smell this smell, the first time that you make that good choice to eat the healthier thing, it's gonna make you feel stronger. The next time you do it, you get stronger and stronger. It's like a muscle. I can work my bicep muscle, and the more I work it, when I first started working, it's gonna be sore, it's gonna be hard, but after a while, it builds endurance, and it's not a big deal anymore. And it's the exact same thing when it comes to resisting food, that it's hard at first, but after a while, it's not hard at all. So I would say just keep plugging through, and pretty soon you're going to find that, wow, what used to be so difficult doesn't seem very hard anymore. I'm very pleased with eating what I bring, and you become very content. And then after a while of being obedient like that, or what you can call obedient to your own behavior,
Hmm.
after a while, when you do have something that is a little outside off the beaten path, number one, you're going to really enjoy it.
Yeah,
And number two, you're going to look forward to getting back on your schedule.
good tip. And you'll be an influence on people around you. Uh, and yeah, and
Yep.
sometimes they're not so willing to let you be a good influence. And I'm no angel. I eat right 75, 80% of the time, and the other 20 I'm not, but wishing I was. And so but the good times, I've had many people around me make comments like, "Oh, she's eating healthy," and it's like, okay, I don't want to be around you anymore. So,
Yeah.
yeah, my warning to women that if you do change, I mean, when you do change your style of eating, you have to let those comments just go by you. And then occasionally, when I do have a brownie at a bake sale, oh, look at Miss Healthy eating a brownie, So,
Yeah,
just
well,
my
every time we do something that's a step in a really good direction, the people who have not been strong enough to go there, either one are going to applaud you, or two, they're going to turn their nose up to you. And we've all done it to people in the past until we realize how immature that is. But it's true that, I just learned to admire people who do that. And I like to look at them as role models in my mind, and I always have for many years. But there will always be people who will try to bring you down to where they are. It makes, it's like looking at yourself in a mirror when you see people that are doing things that in your heart you probably should be doing as well. And how they deal with it is either positive or negative. You never know.
right, right. Now you mentioned rest. Of course, rest is important, but how much rest?
Well, they've always said 8 to 10 hours, 6 to 10 hours. I mean, you hear it all over the place. I personally think that you probably know the most. You can tell how you feel. Do you feel rested? I think rest is the biggest issue for women 15 above. When we were younger, it was because of our children needs and our constant busy schedule. But as we get into that age, it becomes more hormone imbalance. It becomes stress and anxiety, and I see it a lot. And I've even experienced some of it when I've let myself kind of get out of control. I know what it feels like, and so I think it's really important that we get enough rest. And my personal opinion as to what I think is the biggest culprit in stealing our good rest is twofold: our diet, of course, especially right before we go to bed, and our inability to know how to control stress in our mind. And that's a huge contributor to sleep problems. On the nutritional side, of course, I help people with that all the time, how to actually have a better night's sleep. A lot of people right now, they're afraid of getting hungry. They're afraid of an empty stomach. A lot of the media teaches us that, oh, don't let your children get hungry, or don't you ever get hungry. Don't go more than so many hours and so many minutes without eating. And it's very rigid, and it's really, for the most part, unless you have some sort of disease state or you're on some particular medication that could be dangerous, most people are afraid to get hungry. And frankly, being hungry is very humbling. It's very humbling. I've gotten my best ideas and done my best work in a state of feeling hungry. I think clearer. My body feels better. I'm more creative. I'm also more positive. So I would just tell people that don't be afraid so much of getting hungry. Don't have a fear built up thinking, well, I have to eat this many times. I have to eat when I wake up. I have to eat before I go to bed, or I have to eat before a workout. There's no have to nothing. If you get hungry, I've had a girlfriend who said to me, I hate going to sleep hungry. Well, it's still good for you. Just because you hate it, it's still very good for you. Your body detoxes overnight. We're not supposed to be doing a every 3-4 month detox. We're supposed to be detoxing daily, right, with healthy food, and allowing our body not to have to do a lot of work with food for a period of time. So sleep, I think, I'll speak on the nutritional side. On the psychological side, of course, I know what works best for me, but on the nutritional side, I would highly recommend that you don't eat a lot before you go to bed. Within a couple hours, you want your stomach to be empty, even if it's uncomfortable. Again, like I said, whatever you feed the most gets the strongest. Whatever you starve will die. So if you're feeding discipline and making yourself go to bed with no food, you'll notice the next morning how great you feel.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that a few times, pretty soon it's not so hard anymore.
Right.
Just like the exercising of the bicep.
Just
pretty soon it's not so hard. And I would say after about maybe a week, you're going to find out, wow, that's not very hard. And the way I feel in the morning, the first time you do it again, and you don't like that feeling, you'll want to go back to your regular way.
Right.
So
yeah.
They just have to believe that and keep pushing through.
Yeah, so set your goal to do it 7 days and then 14 days, and then after that it's a habit, and it's a good habit.
It really does become a habit. It becomes very natural. You don't think about it. Now, when you're eating, if you're eating a particular something in the evening, and the next night you kind of crave it again, and next night you kind of crave it again, there's a reason, because your body is saying, remember, this is what you do at this time. And then you tend to kind of eat even the same thing. It's an addiction. It's a little addiction going on. And again, every time you eat that thing, you're feeding it. And then it's going to ask it again. But if you starve it and you don't give it what it wants, after a while, it's going to stop asking.
Like the addiction to caffeine and sugar. So can we talk about caffeine and sugar briefly?
Sure.
How it affects the women over 50. The caffeine and sugar can like take you up, take you down, and those that are addicted to it, especially in the evening, having that caffeine and that sugar can totally destroy everything that you're presenting. Like that can.
Yeah.
So what else can you?
Especially in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So avoid sugar and caffeine as much as possible.
Well, I think everybody knows that.
Right. But doing it is a different thing.
Right. The thing that's really sneaky about caffeine, there's a lot of people who say caffeine doesn't give me the jitters, it doesn't bother me. Well, it doesn't with me either, but I can't have it. And the reason why is because caffeine accumulates in your tissue. And I may not feel the jittery right after I have caffeine, but after about a week or two of consuming it a little bit here and there, it builds. And the next thing you know, I feel a little twitchy, but I can't blame it on the caffeine because it doesn't happen right after drinking it. So I'm wondering what's wrong with me. And I'm not sleeping as well. And I'm wondering what's wrong with me because, again, it's not right after I had the coffee or the tea or whatever it is. It's displaced just enough so that I can't really point my finger at the original cause. So I would say maybe that's you, anybody who's listening, that you're noticing you can't sleep that well. You do drink coffee. I can't even drink decaf. That's how sensitive I am because I haven't done it much in my life. So I'm very sensitive. But you might think, well, it's probably not the coffee, but it very well may be. It may be the coffee because it does accumulate in your tissues over time. And that's why when you go off of it, it takes time to get it out of your tissues. That's why you go through headaches and detox and things of that nature. Yeah. So keep that in mind with the coffee. And as far as sugar goes, sugar pumps you up, especially if it's an empty sugar, like plain white sugar. Most sugars that are meant to sweeten are far more sweet than they are nutritious. So even the healthier ones like agave, or which we have here in the desert a lot, and fresh stuff, and then or honey. But even the sweet, the healthier sugars, they will give you energy, but then you'll come back down, and it's unhealthy for women. For women that are in our age, 50 and above, even more so, because it'll play a role in your hormone imbalance. As you enter into menopause, you go into perimenopause as you enter into menopause. And can I tell you why I think most women gain weight during menopause? And I say most, I can't say all. I can't say all, but throughout our lifetime, we're having our menstrual cycle, and for women who maybe haven't disciplined themselves a whole lot in their diet, they're going to come up on menopause and have a choice. And that choice is going to be, do I now, because they'll notice the weight will start to come on. And it's not necessarily because your metabolism slows down. It slows down a little bit, but not so much so that it would wreak havoc on your weight quickly. Most of that are other issues. But if it's diet related, if you haven't really disciplined yourself real well, maybe you've drank a lot or had a lot of sugar, and then you come up on menopause or perimenopause in the 40s, and you notice yourself gaining weight, they have a choice to make. Do I now discipline myself, or do I now just keep going how I have been going, not eating so well? Well, if you keep going how you've not been going, your body's not going to respond as nicely as it did in those younger years.
Right. Time to make a
yes,
little
it's
change.
not. Exactly. So if they decide to go on the discipline side, they're going to have to learn a whole new trade they've never done. It's like getting to age 50 and now having to learn a job
The
to
game
make
has
money.
changed.
You're having to learn something you've never really developed a lot of experience in, because you haven't done it through the younger years. And so it's a real challenge. So there's one example. Another example is that the woman who through the years, even though they've enjoyed a few things, they've done quite a good job of disciplining their diet. And when they notice symptoms and they realize what caused it, they tend to stay away from it, and they make choices right up to that perimenopausal age. When they get to that point and menopause hits, they've been spending a lot of time learning how to behave themselves and control themselves. Even though they haven't been perfect, they've spent a lot of time building up a skill, so that when they get to menopause, they are now just doing more of the same.
Right.
Doing more of the same, and they're going to have a lot more success in being able to take what they've already learned through the past 20 years of discipline and applying it at menopause. It doesn't mean that the ones that can't do it. It'll be a little bit more challenging, but they can do it. I've seen both sides. They can do it. They just have to be determined that they're not going to allow 50 to be a death sentence.
Be determined, ladies. Be determined. So
Yeah.
before we go, I have one more question about fitness. Now, Christi has produced over 30 exercise DVDs in the last few years, 20 years. You've been in the fitness industry for quite a long time. A lot of knowledge. And so what would be a good fitness tip for women over 50?
A good fitness tip is exercise, and do it frequently. And do it intensely. But I think the most important part is don't choose exercise that you think is going to make your body look the way you want it to look. For example, don't turn on the TV and see that gorgeous 20-year-old abs and think, I want to look like that, and buy their product. And what I say, use this criteria. If you think it's going to be fun to do, that's the exercise you do. Because if it's not fun, you'll be out of there. Yeah. As soon as you realize after doing it and you're miserable because you're really not enjoying it, you see it as a torture chamber that you have to do every other day. And then after about 2 or 3 weeks of doing it and knowing you're torturing yourself, and then you look at your body and you look at that person on that TV and you say, it's not working, it's not the same, you'll be out of there. You'll be done. So the biggest recommendation is not what you should do, it's that you should do it. Make yourself sweat, because that's detoxification through your skin. Sweating exercise and strength training exercise and flexibility, of course. That you do it. You do it as frequently as your calendar would allow you to do it, but only choose what you really enjoy. And if it's something like, let's say you're going to hit a treadmill, and you might say, well, treadmills aren't that enjoyable. Get yourself an audiobook, or get yourself something you want to learn and turn it into an enjoyable experience. And or if it's lifting weights, use the music that pumps you up. I mean, whatever you have to do to turn it into an enjoyable experience, if you enjoy it, you'll do it. And here's the thing. People who golf, for example, it's good exercise. It may not seem like it is, but trust me, it's good exercise. You're walking everywhere. And you're swinging that club, and you're climbing rocks, and it's real good exercise. But if they don't enjoy it, they don't play golf if they don't enjoy it. They only play if they enjoy it, because they enjoy it. And therefore, they're getting the exercise. So the number one draw is the enjoyment, and the cherry on top of that great dessert is the benefit of exercise.
Right. That's great. Yeah. Great motivational information there. It's things that we all know, but just hearing you say it kind of remotivates everyone. I hope everyone listening is remotivated. Thank you so much for sharing all this great information. I can't wait to have you come back sooner so we can talk about other things, how nutrition affects your moods and so
Oh my
on.
gosh,
I could
yeah.
talk forever about that. But before we go, it's time to share your shoe. Show me your favorite shoe, Christy, and tell me why you like it.
Okay,
A boot.
a
Yay!
boot. Yeah, these are my cowboy boots. Well, one of them, I have a couple pair, but I love these boots. And of all my boots, these actually were the least expensive. But this is the one I love the most. And hey, I live in the desert. I live in cowboy country here, and they're just darn cute. And these are actually really comfortable as well. And it gets dusty out here in the desert. Right now, it's a little warm today to be wearing boots. It won't be in the evening, but these are my favorite right here.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Well, I have a shoe for today, and it is Asics, the GT 2000, my running shoe lately. And I've shown this several times, but I just love it. If I could just clone this baby and give everybody a pair, I would do that. Love Asics. That's my favorite for today. Thank you so much again.
Nice.
Again, I can't wait to have you back, Christi Taylor. I will have a link to her information in the description box. So if you want to contact Christi with any information, or if you want to even take a look at some of her DVDs, or ask her anything about nutrition or fitness, I'm sure she'll be glad to answer you. So thanks again, everyone. Please share this video and subscribe. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching.